You can't lead the people if you don't love the people.
Right. Yeah.
You can't save the people if you don't serve the people.
Right.
So we want to say good morning and that we are here standing today for justice.
Yeah.
Standing on this ground to let everyone know that we shall not be moved.
Right.
That here we are, Justice for Mario Woods Coalition, Black and Brown Unity, and you the people that care about justice, that cares about Jessica, that cares about Mario, that cares about Alex, that cares about Emilcar, that cares about Louise. Right. And as we continue, Kenneth Harding, it's so many names that we have to call out. And we want to know how many names, Kamala Harris, would we have to call out before you get involved?
Right.
And we would just want to say thank you for being dedicated, for being determined to walk this walk of struggle. As Minister Christopher says, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And as you run a marathon, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for all different kinds of things. And as we stand here today, we continue to be prepared to fight this fight. And again, we want to say thank you for coming. And we also want the world to know we shall not be moved until justice rains down on our community. We're not asking, we're not begging, we are demanding justice. We can't stop, we won't stop until justice rains down on our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Why did we gather today at the infamous Bayview Station? It is from this station that officers asked to be transferred here. This is a training station, reminding us of Training Day, the movie. This is where officers come to, quote, get into some action, end quote. This is where officers come for an adrenaline rush. This is where officers have mocked and ridiculed African Americans on videotape over 10 years ago. This is where officers have come and said that they've recognized that it's here that we want to come to kill niggers. Sergeants, trainers of officers asked to be brought here to, quote, kill niggers. Another officer, a sergeant, said, we want to kill the animals. It's okay to kill the animals. And we now know that these are not just the musings of officers on the fishing expedition at Clear Lake, but these are officers who have set the tone and the culture of Bayview Station, have come here. We now know that officers have fomented, encouraged gang violence. We know officers have looked the other way, knowing where guns have been brought into this community. We have testimony from so-called gang leaders that they've been dropped off by officers in different neighborhoods, hoping that they would fight and kill each other and turn on each other. In fact, one officer told a member of the youth in our community, look, don't worry about what Christopher, Muhammed, and Archbishop and others are telling you about unity. You better get your guns because the other neighborhood is getting their guns, and you better hurry up and get yourself armed because they're coming after you tonight. This came from police officers in this neighborhood. Well, that's why we're here today, because people have been arrested and sent to prison with false testimony from officers in this neighborhood. This is not only where gang violence, as I said, has been encouraged and fomented for years, but this is where Sergeant Lawrence Kopinski, a 17-year veteran working in the Bayview Station, made remarks in text messaging and to other officers that said he came here to kill niggers. And we called on good officers to stand up and make sure that rogue officers are reported and turned in. And some good officers heard the cry of this community, heard the call of this community, and did just that, turned in a superior officer who made these remarks. And do you know how they were rewarded by SFPD? Do you know how they were rewarded by the Police Officers Association? The leaders of that organization, past and present, called them snitches. Said they were ratting out fellow officers. Well, that sounds like gang talk. That sounds like the talk of gang leaders. This is SFPD. But I understand it because one former police chief told me he went and talked to so-called gang leaders one day and said, "Minister, I told them, you're nothing compared to the gang that I lead. I lead the biggest gang in San Francisco." Well, those aren't hollow words. They have proved to be true. So it's in this light that we learn that this gang mindset, this mindset of rogue, anti-black, anti-Latino, anti-women, anti-gay, anti-minority, anti-poor culture that permeates this department is not just talk, but it's led to death. Up to and including why we're here today at the infamous Bayview Station, because we lost a young African-American woman to a bullet coming from a sergeant from this station. We can only imagine that the old Sergeant Club, which includes Sergeant Kopinski, certainly had an impact on the sergeant who saw Jessica Williams allegedly in a stolen car. We don't know the truth because we're limited to the narrative coming from SFPD, which we know has a history of lying in the face of video evidence, much less when there is no video evidence. So we can't trust SFPD's narrative. But even if she was in a stolen vehicle, when did the penalty for being in a stolen vehicle mean death? A death penalty for riding in an alleged stolen car, unarmed? You said Mario was murdered because he had a knife and lunged at the officer, which was a big lie that you couldn't keep repeating because the video contradicted your lie. Then you said Luis Gangora approached you and lunged at you with a knife after a 30-second encounter when SFPD who could have easily stepped back and allowed the fluid situation to play itself out. But after a 30-second encounter with our little brother Luis Gangora, he's dead. And now we learn Jessica Williams in the prime of her life. We'll never know the greatness of little Jessica because a sergeant came and became judge, jury, and executioner, put a bullet in her. What did she do to deserve murder? So we're here to launch and say to the world, we now have included injustice for Mario Woods, included injustice for Alex Nieto, included injustice for Amilcar Perez Lopez, included in our cry for justice for Luis Gangora and Kenny Harding Jr., we now include the name of Justice for Jessica. Justice for Jessica. And please receive our public defender for the city and county of San Francisco, Jeff Adachi.
Thank you, Minister Muhammed. It's been about 5 weeks since I wrote a letter to Attorney General Kamala Harris asking that she get involved. This is something that has been embraced by the community, by the San Francisco community that wants to see real reform. We were told at that time that she's going to wait this one out. And what we're here today is to say we cannot wait. We cannot wait for justice. Since she decided to wait it out, we have another killing. This is one where, by all accounts, even the SFPD account, it was unjustified. It violated the own orders of the department not to shoot into cars. It's clear that she was unarmed, that she posed no threat to the officers. And again, you know, this is not a new trainee on the job for a couple of weeks that shot her. This is a sergeant. So this is a situation which, again, is of the same pattern and practice as the shootings that have been talked about today. of Mario Woods, of Luis Gongora, and many before that. A week before that, a federal district court judge, Judge Breyers, after seeing videotape evidence that directly contradicted the sworn testimony and affidavits of two San Francisco police officers, declared that they had committed perjury. He said it was an affront to everyone. Yet there's no action that has been taken. These are officers who were caught red-handed committing perjury, and yet there's been no action. Just yesterday, the San Francisco civil grand jury issued a scathing report that recommended that the San Francisco crime lab be taken from the San Francisco Police Department because of incompetence, because of bias, and because of lack of proper scientific management. So, if there is ever a time to come in, it is now.
Right now.
I mean, the writing has been on the wall, like Minister Muhammad has said, and we can't wait any longer.